We should run this show. We should have all the championships. We are the present and the future of this industry, not some tired old act from a decade ago. So, what's it going to be, Orton? You can get mad at the things that I said, the true things that I said, or you can join me. Join me, and together we can take a stand. We can take back our lives, our championships, our careers. We can beat DX. So, what's it going to be, Orton? DX, as far as you two running this show is concerned, I got two words for you. It's over. And with those words, Rated RKO was officially born. Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 bringing to you another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. And October 9th, 2006 marks 18 years ago that history was made when Edge and Randy Orton joined forces to form Rated RKO. And today I'm going to discuss the success and failures of Edge and Randy Orton's tag team run as Rated RKO from October 2006 to May 2007. So, Edge and Randy Orton at the time were two of the biggest heels ever in WWE. Randy Orton was red hot after turning heel in 2005 when he challenged The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania 21, and Edge was red hot after turning heel in 2004 when he speared Shawn Michaels at Taboo Tuesday 2004. So, although no one knew or thought at the time, it was inevitable that two of the biggest heels in the company would eventually join forces. And in 2006, Edge was really coming into his own as a heel. He cashed in Money in the Bank at New Year's Revolution 2006, speared John Cena after a bloody Elimination Chamber match, and made history by becoming the new WWE Champion. And Randy Orton, while he was still a top heel, he wasn't faring that well. And the idea of putting two of WWE's biggest heels ever in a tag team would prove to be a very good move, and a move that would help bring big success for both Edge and Randy Orton's careers. So the seeds were planted for Edge and Randy Orton to join forces back on the October 2nd, 2006 edition of Raw, when Edge challenged John Cena for the WWE title in a rematch in a steel cage, and Edge would lose the match thanks to DX costing him the title. And this would lead to Edge reaching out to Randy Orton and inviting him as a special guest on his Cutting Edge segment on the October 9th, 2006 edition of Raw, which was called Raw Family Reunion. And in typical Edge fashion, Edge started praising Randy Orton for everything that he's done in his career and went on to say that you were the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in history at 24 years old. But since then, you haven't really done a lot, have you? Yes, you had some pretty big matches. WrestleMania 21 against The Undertaker, SummerSlam 2006 against Hulk Hogan, but you lost all of those matches. And while you have been trying to put it all back together, facts are facts. And Orton, taking great exception to all of Edge's remarks, turned around and said to him, "You've got 3 seconds to come up with a point. I'm going to drop you right here, right now." And Edge said, "I do have a point, and all of these stumbles can be traced back to one single source. Roll the footage." And Edge showed footage of Evolution betraying Randy Orton the night after SummerSlam 2004, and Edge pretty much told Orton, that all of those single sources can be traced back to the moment that Triple H turned on you. Triple H's jealous rage cost you everything, Orton, everything. And Shawn Michaels, the same man who taught Triple H every dirty trick in the book that he's ever known, cost me the WWE title. And Edge pretty much put it out on the table. Join me, and together we can take a stand. We can beat DX, take back our lives, take back our careers, take back our championships. What do you say? And Orton agreed, and Rated RKO was formed. Now, this was a real shocking move. Two of the biggest heels ever on the same team. The only other time we've ever seen that was when Triple H and Stone Cold joined forces and became the two-man power trip. But this was a little bit different because with Stone Cold and Triple H, they were two of the biggest names ever in the company. Edge and Orton, although they were big names, they were still quite young guys. So, this was interesting. Two of the biggest heels with the biggest egos ever. This could mean bad news for DX. And I have to say, Edge and Orton together, dynamite. Absolute dynamite. Individually, they've got nuclear heat. Put it together, their nuclear heat combined, radioactive. Can't beat it. And then Edge and Orton would go on to impersonate and parody DX, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And Rated RKO really had DX's number. They handed DX their first loss at Cyber Sunday 2006 after remaining undefeated since getting back together. And they really showed that they weren't a joke. They meant serious business. And I would say, in all honesty, the feud against Rated RKO was DX's best one ever because Rated RKO weren't here to tell jokes or mess around or make people laugh. They were here to take back their careers and they didn't care how they were going to do it as long as they did it. And the feud was tremendous. Rated RKO really was just put together to fight DX, but I tell you what, it worked. And it really helped rejuvenate Randy Orton as a heel. He was still a great heel, but this put him back on top and even higher. Edge, it just made him even more hated than he was already. And throughout the rest of 2006, they would continue to butt heads with DX, really get the last word on them every single week. Yes, they may have lost a couple of matches here and there, but Rated RKO weren't interested or wins or losses. They were willing to end DX's career just so that they could have a career. And I really liked that. And I would say by December 2006, the feud between Rated RKO and DX got a lot more violent, a lot more personal, and very dark as they bloodied Ric Flair. And this caused DX to really get serious. No longer were they the guys making everyone laugh. They were super serious. Not something that we had seen since the original DX back in the late 90s, but just different. And I loved it. I really loved it. And if you're going to have two heels to feud with, it doesn't get any better than Edge and Randy Orton. They were the perfect heels to feud with. And when Eric Bischoff was helping them out, just made him even more hated. I would have loved to have seen Bischoff as their manager because I felt for those few weeks that Bischoff was helping them out, they got more success. They really did. Lita there as well didn't hurt. She played a big part as well. I would have liked to have seen Rated RKO turn into a proper faction with Bischoff and Lita. I think they could have been like the anti DX faction. Not necessarily a faction making people laugh, but just a faction that no one would dare cross. But Edge and Orton as Rated RKO was super hated. They really were. And the heat they got, as I said earlier, nuclear. Absolutely nuclear. The match that they had for the tag team titles, which Edge and Orton won after defeating Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper, was a bloody war. No wins or losses. This was about two teams looking to destroy one another. And even though Triple H got hurt halfway into the match, tearing his quad, Rated RKO, although they didn't win the match, but they didn't lose either, they took credit for taking out Triple H, leaving Shawn Michaels by himself. And they took credit for killing off DX. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And heading into the Royal Rumble 2007, of course, when it comes to teams and WrestleMania, friendship goes out the window. Every man for himself. And Rated RKO would slowly start to butt heads with each other, not seeing eye to eye, but they still remained on the same page and even working together in the Royal Rumble match in 2007. Edge would try to pull a fast one on Orton, but Orton, being too smart for his partner, saw it coming. And although they still remained together, cracks would slowly start to show in their tag team. And after losing the tag team titles to John Cena and Shawn Michaels, they would continue to butt heads even more. And as we headed into WrestleMania 23 in the Money in the Bank ladder match, although they were still a team, Rated RKO was just falling apart from the seams. But I looked at it like this: when you've got two big heels like Edge and Orton, it's not going to last. Once they've done what they had to do, you knew it was only a matter of time that somebody was going to stab the other in the back. And pretty much by Backlash 2007, Rated RKO was pretty much finished, really. They would start to fight each other. They were put in the Fatal 4-Way WWE title match. And yeah, it was pretty much finished, really, by then. Rated RKO was pretty much done. And by May 2007, Edge would move to SmackDown after beating Mr. Kennedy for the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashing in on The Undertaker and becoming World Heavyweight Champion. And Randy Orton, he was pretty much on his own as a top heel, taking out legends with his new punt kick and just taking out anybody and everyone left, right, and centre. And he would eventually become the WWE Champion. But in the short time that they had together as a team, from October 2006 to May 2007, they did a lot of good work. And as far as feuds, they only feuded really with DX because that was the whole point. Putting these two together was to fight DX. They got a lot of heat. Taking out Ric Flair, and other legends as well who are friendly with DX. Great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Now, in terms of the success and failures of Rated RKO, a complete success. 100%. Absolutely successful. As far as failures, I wouldn't really say there was any failures. It was never meant to be a long run. It was only meant to be a short run. Two top heels working together to fight a common enemy, and then after that, they'll turn on each other, which they did anyway. But it worked. It worked very well. No failures. And Rated RKO would have a couple of reunions here and there. They teamed up in 2008 with JBL and Chavo Guerrero to fight the Brothers of Destruction, Triple H and John Cena. And in 2010, they had a little reunion as well. And they would briefly reunite in 2020 when Edge returned to active competition after having what seemingly thought was his career ended. So they've had a couple of reunions, but I wouldn't really say they had a long reunion. It was just like a one night only thing. And of course, they had a little reunion on the Raw 15th anniversary edition where they took on Evolution and when they teamed up with Umaga. So they've had a couple of little reunions, but nothing big. It was just more like a one night only deal. But as far as their entire run as a team, a complete success, winning the tag team titles, dismantling DX, drawing nuclear heat on a radioactive level. Love it. Absolutely love it. And whoever came up with the idea of putting Edge and Randy Orton together, give that guy a pay rise. That's all I've got to say. But I loved it. It was a great angle, and it really put Edge and Orton over as top heels. I would probably say Edge got more out of the Rated RKO Association than Randy Orton because Edge went on to become an even more bigger heel later on in the year. Randy Orton was still a top heel, but I think he really became a top heel in 2009, in my opinion. He did still get a lot out of Rated RKO, but I think Edge benefited it more than Orton. But it still worked for both of them, but I think Edge got more out of it than Orton. But hey ho, who's arguing with the results? It put both guys over, made them twice as hated, and it just worked. Just absolutely worked. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you guys think of Rated RKO? Do you look at it as a success or do you look at it as a failure? Do you think it did a great job in putting Edge and Randy Orton over as heels? Did you enjoy the feud that Rated RKO had against DX? Would you have liked to have seen it last a little bit longer, perhaps? Do you think maybe they could have had one more run as a team before Edge left to go to AEW? Or do you think everything worked out fine as it was? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.